Over the weekend, the Lakers responded to Grizzlies guard Dillon Brooks chirping with dominating play on the court, blowing out the Grizz by 40 to advance to the second round. While Ja took ownership of his off-the-court antics being a distraction, Brooks was asked if he had regrets for calling out LeBron.
No. That's who I am. I don't regret it. I'm a competitor. I compete. I don't think it got LeBron geeked up. Is he back in the playoffs? It's been a little while, so I think, he was ready to play.
Stephen A., how did the Ja-led Grizzlies look now after elimination?
They look like damn jokes. They were an embarrassment. And I don't say that kindly, and I don't say that with any joy in my voice or in my heart. I don't wish that on them. I wished for an epic 7-game series, to be quite honest with you. But they didn't lose. They got their ass kicked. That's number one. Number two, let's point this out. Dillon Brooks said, I poke bears. I don't respect anybody that don't give me 40. Well, LeBron didn't give you 40. But his team gave y'all 40, as in a 40-point loss in a closeout Game 6. A series in which Dillon Brooks, I want to make sure I got this right. I got this stat right here, because I'm looking at Dillon Brooks here. In 6 games, he averaged 10 points and 3 rebounds on 23% shooting from three-point range and 31% from the field. He's lucky if he's in a Memphis Grizzlies uniform next year. So that's number two. Number three, the superstar that is Ja Morant, albeit hurt and what have you. You did say you good in the West. Well, evidently that wasn't true. When you were asked to admit it, you couldn't. Once it was clear you shouldn't be good in the West. And then in the midst of all of that, we're sitting there, and it's not me. I hope Ja Morant is watching. It ain't me, Ja Morant, because you lost, and I got it, and it wasn't your fault. You understand? At least not totally. Okay, you didn't have Steven Adams. You didn't have Brandon Clark. But when you down 40 and you a superstar in this league, and you're seen while you're down 40 laughing on the bench, it reeks of everything that says, I got my back. You didn't think the cameras were watching? You didn't think the cameras were on you seeing that? That's the look. So if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies, they're a laughing stock right now. They're all talk and bluster and nothing else. They got embarrassed, and it is what it is. And they're going to have a long offseason because ain't nobody going to let them forget that.
Oh, absolutely. They're front runners. But I'm going to go a little deeper. When we think about the Memphis Grizzlies 2 years ago, we were actually praising the whole organization for us, how they drafted and was building from the ground up and how this young team was on the rise. So they was taking steps forward. This year, they took 10 steps backwards. Forget the postseason. Let's talk about the regular season, because I feel like we need to actually address this when it comes down to them with their culture. You're not gangsters. You're not goons. You're basketball players, right? I appreciate the competitive nature, but leave all that outside stuff to the outside world. You fight all your life to get out of certain situations to actually get to this point. So you need to embrace it and make sure you don't take it for granted. I have a problem with them, and they have to get a vet in there to reestablish their culture ASAP, or it's going to continue to go down the drain.
Yeah, look, to me, when you look at the two guys, right, and you say, well, who has the most to add by another run? Winning this series, potentially even maybe one of these teams wins a championship this year. Who has the most to add to their legacy? I think it's Steph Curry for this regard. I think, look, first of all, they're both cemented, but I think LeBron James, on just about everybody's list, when you ask them to rank players historically, no one's going to have him for the most part lower than 2, right? It's 2. And a lot of people feel like no matter what he does, he's not going to catch Jordan for 1. So he's almost like locked into this place historically. Steph Curry, and Greeny, you mentioned this a lot in the last segment we did. The amount of ground that he has covered in the last couple of years, climbing that list, the rungs on the ladder, to not just look at him in a certain way or paint him a certain way as a player, but start to regard his historical greatness as a player. overall and his ability to lead teams to championships, it's been completely redone over the last 2 seasons. And so he, for me, still has an opportunity to go grab some stuff, climb some more rungs on that ladder, and make it undisputed. So when the topic comes up, everybody will universally agree he's a top 10 player of all time. And maybe some people even put him, higher than that, guaranteed. So I think for me, Curry has more still to grab. And that's what's so interesting this late in his career. I think LeBron is pretty locked into where we are going to view him as time goes on, and one day, 20 years from now, when he's retired, probably even.
Monica, I'm trying to read the look on your face, and I can't decide what it is. What are you struggling with?
First of all, that's a great question, Greeny. I like Legs' case, but I actually was kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, only because I think in terms of runway and opportunity, there's still more. We've seen, right? Both of these players are terrific at plus 35 in their careers, but I think there's more runway for Steph than there is for LeBron. And so I think as we have the conversation where so many lean on the ring culture, I think I'd actually go, this stands to add a little bit more to LeBron's legacy if he can get another one. And I just think that the sunset is in the peer view on LeBron in a way that I don't think it is for Steph, as we continue to see Steph elevating his game. And not that LeBron isn't, but I just think there's more runway left for Steph.
That's fair. Let me change the question. Which of these teams would have a better chance in your mind of winning the title this year if they come out of the next 2 weeks? Which is to say, it's a reasonably self-evident question. I'm not sure why I feel the need to quantify it. Which of these two teams, in your opinion, if they beat the other, has the better chance of going on and cutting down the nets, if you will, in June?
I think it's probably still the Warriors. The things that we pointed out in the first hour and the second hour of the show in terms of slowing this Warriors offense are going to be a conundrum no matter who they play, right? I'm thinking of the teams that are left, who poses the potential best matchup, right? You almost swing the pendulum from defending the Warriors to who can outscore the Warriors potentially, and that, just based on depth in terms of what we've seen in this Western Conference so far, it looks like the Nuggets may have the depth to be able to keep up. Then you go to the East. Is it potentially a rematch of Boston? Should they be the team that comes out of the Western Conference, right? I think it's still the Warriors in terms of defending them.
Who do you think, Legs? Which of these two teams would you give the better shot of going the distance?
I'd say Golden State, because I just think they're so unique in what you have to come with to prepare to play them. And the fact that now they've survived this series, right? Now they move on each and every game. They're going to continue to find that rhythm that's so hard to stop. And they're just going to gain more and more confidence and start to believe that, hey, maybe this is another year in which we can go all the way. I think they probably even had doubts at one point this season. But you got to remember that, Peyton hasn't been back with them that long. Wiggins missed all that time. He's going to continue to get better and find his legs as this goes on. Their depth is a little bit of a concern for me, but it's the unique way in which they play that the further they advance, the more confident that they are. They've got an answer for anything you throw at them. The Lakers are a little bit more traditional in how they're going to approach their offense. The Warriors are not at all. They're a one-off in the way that they play, and that's why I'd say Golden State, to me, has a better chance to make that run.
For what it's worth, the Warriors' big Achilles heel has been their play on the road, and in this series, essentially with their backs against the wall, they won 2 road games. Game 5 and Game 7. They realistically, they needed to win both of those games, and they did it in both cases. So just very quickly, put the picks up there, Allie, if you could, or Cindy, put the picks up there for us. And let the record show, I picked the Lakers because Jay Will, who was here earlier, also was picking Golden State. And in my experience, when everyone goes one way, I go the other. So Greeny's going oppo with the Lakers. Let's see what winds up happening. Meanwhile, the other game yesterday, Monica, you were there at the Garden. Knicks and Heat. Jimmy Butler was there, but forget about that. Aaron Rodgers was there.
Goodness gracious.
That was midway through the third. Kevin Love, how about this throw? Aaron Rodgers was impressed.
Our team in our sports and information group said that Kevin Love threw 2 65-foot passes in this ballgame.
And that was Jimmy Butler there. He had 25 and 11. Jalen Brunson didn't make a 3 on the day. He did knock down that little deuce there. He had 25 points on the day. In the meantime, with the Heat up 3 in the fourth quarter, this is the moment, Monica, that could wind up deciding everything.
Yeah, Josh Hart, a terrific defender. He and Jimmy Butler just kind of land in the same spot, except Josh lands under Jimmy's foot. It's a twisted ankle. Or sprained ankle, as Spo called it, post-game. Now, Jimmy stayed on the ground for a bit. He did come back in the game and take the free throws and actually remained in the ballgame, to my surprise.
Yeah, he told Cassidy after the game it feels like a turned ankle, and his teammates picked him up. With Jimmy out there basically as a decoy, Gabe Vincent knocked down that 3. He had 20. Bam Adebayo with a little hook. He had 16. And Kyle Lowry dumped in 18 off the bench.
18 points. 4 blocks, air quotes around blocks, Greeny. 1 steal. Like, this was a vintage-type performance from Kyle Lowry. And down the stretch of the ball game, the veterans for the Heat just